Jane Daoud will be our next reader, and her book is called The Power of Women. After watching female power lifters training, Jane became curious about gladiatresses and ancient female athletes. Many of their stories have been omitted from history. Surprise, surprise. Outraged, Jane decided to write poems about these women from a clearer perspective. She is an Australian-based New Zealander, and this is her first collection of poetry.
Has anyone else here had frozen shoulder? You people, yeah, horrible, isn't it? So that's basically how I became a poet, watching sport from the sidelines. And during the weightlifting competition, someone referred to one of the women as a gladiator. So I immediately jumped onto Google to see if there were any historical records of women gladiators, known as gladiatrices, I discovered. And through my Google search, I stumbled across a worldwide debate raging through archaeological circles regarding the gender of certain remains and what the poses of certain sculptures meant. I discovered that it wasn't simply that many women's stories had been left out of history, but some important women had been assumed male, the title of this first poem. The journal sends ripples of surprise through archaeological circles, held up as the ideal man even as he lay in his grave. A knife has gone through the heart of centuries of interpretation. We looked at this with our own ideas of gender roles. There were always hints, stories of Red Girl, of shield maidens who were not mythological embellishments. How could so many weapons be in a woman's grave? The bones have been mislabelled. The bones got all mixed up with others. Anna's conference paper fails to coerce the establishment. There is pushback. The bones speak. The DNA confirms woman. In her lap were gaming pieces. She is the leader. And of course the other lens used to look at bones and sculptures was an erotic lens, as in this next poem, Unusual Distractions. A 200 square metre gladiator site is found buried in Austria. Inside rests a sculpture of a bare-chested woman in a loincloth, brandishing a scythe-like object. Historians clamour to confirm long-held theories, and wild debate begins. She must have been the pre-show entertainment. She might have been a slave ordered to fight. Her arm is up because she's cleaning herself and she's holding an ancient skin scraper. Academics question each other in a flurry of consternation. What could possibly motivate her? Where is her helmet? She wouldn't risk losing a boob. Someone writes a heading, Erotic Impact of Topless Fighting. She's topless to entertain the men. She's topless because that's the norm. She's topless in fighting because she was an unusual distraction from the main act. An academic in Finland stands her ground. Helmet down, scythe high, it's her victory pose. So I'll jump ahead now to the invention of the bicycle. Emma Eads, one of the first women to ride a bike in London, was attacked with bricks and stones as she pedalled. Doctors actually warned of the dire effects that cycling could have upon the Victorian lady's weak physique, from uterine displacement and infertility to the dreaded condition of bicycle face, an unattractive condition characterised by a hard, clenched jaw and bulging eyes. This next poem is called Reactive Fear. Where are you going, my pretty maid? Worthy of the attention of the historian gazing upon you, hesitating between desire and dread as to its properness and stalling as to the truth. It seems that woman is riding her way to suffrage. No one can boldly say, there you are. What really is a woman's sphere? Between Boston and Cincinnati lies a happy medium where she shows neither too much intellect nor too much physical vigour nor sweat. The bike, Where is the final home base? When she began her boxing career in the 1940s, Barbara Buttrick, dubbed the Mighty Atom, was branded monstrous and an insult to womanhood. She trained mostly with men and only ever lost one match, and that was to a woman. Her poem is called Opposition. Steak, beer, beef up, champion, mighty atom stares, fighting woman in a man's world. Girls are not the delicate flowers they used to be. Peace overcomes her. Now that boxing is accepted, my life is accepted too. So few women in the ring, she fought men worldwide. The eye of the tiger, 4'11", only ever one loss to a woman. And now I'll jump ahead to New Zealand athlete Valerie Adams, who was simply able to choose to be a professional athlete without many boundaries. It's called Date with Destiny. Jean-Pierre found the missing mojo high up in McGlingan, Olympic height skulking somewhere miles below, the all-consuming goal poised at the door next to the Kiwi Jandals. An athlete possessed, but it's time for normal on this Swiss summer evening. The biggest expectations come from within. The exclusive global group smirks and raises an eyebrow. It's a pivotal period. Sign me off on every event, coach. You have to understand that dominating the sport made life too easy, the mind too relaxed, the body too elated. Surgery, the suffering before the rebirth. I see where I am now. I sign off on my own terms. Me, the mojo, and McGlingan Mountains will make more than 20 metres. And then we have women who come to sporting success later in life. Sister Madonna in America has had a delightful revelation that led to her running marathons. It's called The Iron Nun, Enlightenment for Athletes from Sister Madonna. Listen to the call deep within to take up a second calling. When God says, my child, become an Iron Man, for this will be good for you. Listen to the spiritual director on retreat who says, sister, you must run, it will be good for you. Listen to your body when it says, run to mass in the morning. Run to the prisoners who rely on you daily for courage and for prayer. Listen to the inner child. This is the most pure, creative, unadulterated person you will ever be. Listen to the body. Listen to God. Run. And I'll give the last word to Wilma Rudolph, who in 1960 became the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in track and field at a single Olympics, despite being a very sick child. She not only had to overcome sexism, but also racism. She will not walk, sickly child, face pressed to the pain, so quit the wondering and work. Stotting the brace, the venerable tiger bells pounce, all power and calm, sleeping between races, beloved black gazelle, 3-metre win. Black pride emerging, naming turned on its head, now the driver, subversion through success. The 1960 Tennessee Victory Parade. There will be no segregation. Face turned to the crowd. She will not walk.
Lovely.